All right, we'll start with the obvious. What did you see on the red card? And um, I guess just, yeah, thoughts on how that impacted the match.
Well, obviously, it definitely impacted the match, and it's really interesting to me just the way the protocol works. I think I think it's in Dallas, has a good idea that probably wasn't a red card, and summons down to the ref, and to have that long of a look at it. And I understand from a referee's perspective, there's ego involved when that happens, but I think as a casual observer, you look at that and I think you make a different decision, and obviously that's going to impact the game. But again, I think the last 2 weeks we've we've been battling more than just the players on the field. It feels like, right, and those calls haven't been going our way, and that's just. And this is the time where I think you got to dig deep, right? When it feels like nothing is going your way, and momentum is hard to find, and that's where you dig deep into your soul, and you decide whether I'm going to be a victim or I'm going to change my circumstances, and that's going to take all the guys in the locker room, the staff, that's everyone. We don't feel sorry for yourself. We had an opportunity to win that game when we had 11 players. We didn't do it, so let's get one day better.
We had a chance to talk to Alex Katranek after the last game, and asked him about the penalty, and he mentioned, not letting those calls, having to win the game despite calls, and it seems like this team has made a conscious effort to kind of strengthen that mentality, kind of make efforts to not make excuses, kind of like you said there. Who's leading the charge in that, as far as leaders in this locker room, and how have you guys been able to kind of put those external factors aside and still kind of go out?
Yeah, I think Alex is one of the guys. Jay Glad, Rafa, Mecca, and you see a Mecca talking to the ref. And I think what's interesting in sport too is if you're in a good run of form and you're winning games and you're top of the league, those I don't think you encounter those many moments. So again, for us, it's about controlling the controllables, and so when I look at that game, I'm thinking about what could we have done better when we had a good run of attacking opportunities, right? How can we get more numbers in the box and be more goal dangerous, right? I think we had 25 shots, 5 of them on goal, and just be more just killers in the box and getting numbers in there. And so that's why I'm looking at this game. And I think they had 1 shot on goal, and so when you lose a game when you have 1 shot on goal, to me that says tactically the guys played the game the right way. And now, and I've said it pretty much all season, is it's really the boxes. And we've struggled putting the ball in the back of the net. It's not a surprise. But the way you can change that is by getting more numbers in the box. And that'll be the focus moving forward.
Going with that, how do you approach the locker room when you have only just 20-plus shots and the ball doesn't want to enter into the back of the net with this at all?
Again, you just got to keep working and keep believing. And I think the belief thing is really important, because when you believe, you go to the box not knowing if you're going to get the ball. That's where the belief comes in. And I just think everyone, I think Diego and Joe did a lot of good stuff in the first half. But did they receive the ball in the most dangerous positions to score goals? And I would say not as well as we did against LA Galaxy, right? And so, the belief has to be there that the ball is going to come to me, even if the ball is on the left side. I don't want to drop back and get it. I want to be right in the wheelhouse where if it hits off someone's tail, I'm going to be in position to score the goal. And so we got to keep, and again, that is not instinctual for both of those players. They're link-up 10s, right? But when whoever's playing in the 9 isn't getting the opportunities to get in front of goal, then we need those guys to carry the load. And that's what it's felt like from the beginning of the season. So we got to get those guys, especially the weak side 10. So in other words, the ball side 10 combine. Weak side 10 become a second forward because you know it's going to come to you. And when it does, we have to bury it.
And lastly, obviously you're having reinforcements coming on the way, hopefully in the next week. How big is that, having backup strikers?
It's huge, and I think it's huge not only from a playing perspective, but it injects the group with this again, belief, right? There's reinforcements coming. Again, I don't know how long that's going to take, but it does something special to the locker room where there's new blood in the locker room. There's a pedigree behind the players. That brings extra belief into the group, and I think this is a great time to have that accessible to us.
Hey, Pops. That's a tough result. It really looked like there was a goal there for you at the end. Can you walk us through the changes you were about to make before the red card and then the tactical shifts that you ended up going to?
Yeah, so before the red card, we were going to go into a 4-2-3-1, so adding Ari to the front line and then having Jesus as an extra 10 with Diego and Diogo, and felt like we could then we can overload the middle of the field, but more importantly, just get those players in positions to score goals. When we didn't do that, when Luna got red carded, we went to a bit of a 3-4-2 and dropped Diogo back because the opportunities that we were getting in the first half and the second half a lot of balls fell to Brian Ojeda. And we felt that if Diogo was in that position to receive that ball, which he was in that one play. And again, I think this is like the killer mindset, This is what we need. We need Diogo to show up in that moment, to hit the frame and like be the hero for us in that moment. So it wasn't meant to be. I think the guys that came in definitely did a great job. Again, down a man is not easy. Now we've done it twice, and I think in particular this game where I felt like we controlled the game with the ball, created some like half chances. Jesus got the ball deep into their zone, and we weren't just able to like make a play from that. And I think that's the important thing too, is like the tactics will get you to the spot, and then you just need somebody to make a play. And that's what we're lacking at the moment. But again, I think the way we set out to play this game, the guys executed really, really well, minus one moment where they got their only shot and they scored their only goal.
And coming from someone who knows about getting being on the unlucky end of a bad call, and I was in Kaiserslautern, by the way, what do you say to Diego to keep his head where it needs to be after just a brutal call?
I just don't think it's a red card. So I don't think there's anything I can say to Diego because I don't believe that was a red card. And Diego's not this guy that's going to stomp on anyone. There was no conclusive evidence based on the video. The guy wrapped up his foot, and so he's pulling his foot out. So to me, it's not a red card. So for Diego, it's really about I don't even know what to say because he is the most trustworthy teammate, a guy that's not going to put his team behind the eight ball, and that wasn't his fault. So for me, Diego, I'm saying get in the box more so we can score more goals is what I'm saying to Diego.
Pablo, tough loss. 3 wins, 6 losses, a quarter of the way through the season. How do you keep this from kind of spiraling out of control, so to speak?
Again, I think the last 2 games we played extremely well, and that's what I told the guys, and that's why I'm full of belief and optimism. I'd be BSing the guys if we went on the road to Nashville and we sat in front of our goal and we just got leathered for 90 minutes. We were literally, and again, another inconclusive call that was offsides where we don't even have the lines, where it wasn't called in real time, to go up 2-1 with 12, 13 minutes left. So we're still in position to win that game, right? And then you go to this game where you create all these opportunities on goal, minus 1 moment defensively. And so when I look at the general play, I'm saying they're executing the tactics to a T. What's killing us is moments. And unfortunately, it's a little bit of experience, right? And I'll say it to you this way. As I got older, I started understanding that certain fields require a different type of mentality, right? This field is a bit bumpy, sandy, and to be fair to Bodie, that the ball had a weird bounce off his foot because of the way it bounced before he got it. And so, like, experience would say, I'm going to open my body and take it to the sidelines. And so when you have younger players, the only way to learn is through tough, difficult moments, which unfortunately is costing our group, right? It's costing the team. And then you go into the last game, right? In the 88th minute, right? Nelson Palacio, barreling over a Mukhtar. This is normal for 21, 22-year-olds. Normal. This is not abnormal. So if we have a young group, we have to accept the fact that these things are going to happen. They're going to happen. So how do I stay optimistic? Is because in the general run of play, they're expressing themselves the way I want to play, which is be aggressive defensively, control the game with the ball offensively. But in and amongst that, it's the individual players that dictate goals or negating those goals. And so we're going to keep working. We're going to keep moving forward, because if we play the way we do, and then the last 2 games, there's been some controversial calls against us. So it's not just like 11v11. There's been some controversial moments. So putting that into the variable mix, right? So that's how I talk about it. Now, if we played poorly these last 2 games, I'd be BSing you to say, like, I'm optimistic. But given the way we want to play, the players executing for 90, or because we talk about moments, there's 5,400 moments in a soccer game, 5,400 moments. So for 5,399 of those, top, 1 moment's cost us in both games.
It was always going to be a challenge coming into the season. RSL lost 42 goals from the roster from last season. 8 goals so far in 9 games. Are there goals to unlock on this roster, or is it somehow, or how would you unlock those goals, or is it just a matter of bringing some players in to add to the roster?
I think in the short term, the way I'd answer your question is the way we get more goals is having our 10s in positions to be goal dangerous, which means being in the box as a second forward. The problem with that is that it's not instinctive for them to do that. But they're also our most important attacking players, if that makes sense. So that's what we're doing in the short term. We're going to keep drilling. We need players in the box if we want to score goals. Because we had a lot of chances outside the box today, and those are obviously lower percentage chances to score goals. So then Alex is free in the wide channel, get in the box. Dom's getting the ball, time and space, get in the box. Don't come to. If teams want to defend their box, we have to make sure they're defending their box. And that's really the message moving forward.
Pablo, moments prior to the corner kick that led to the red card, it seemed like tempers were already beginning to flare with a little shove between Brian Vera and Insigne that kind of led to a little bit of a scuffle. What's the message from you and your staff off the sideline to maybe avoid tempers getting more, I guess, tempers continuing to flare up, to avoid situations like the one we saw with Diego Luna in tonight?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a combat sport. It's a competitive contact sport, and you got to play with a certain amount of fire in your belly. The way we want to play, like we want to be brave, and when we have the ball, we want to be brave in the way we defend. And I think the onus is on each individual player to make sure that we don't go beyond that. But it's a fine line, obviously. But again, I think there was the right amount today. It was just a call that I didn't think warranted the result. So it's like we can talk about that, but the truth is that's Diego playing with the type of tenacity that he needs to be the best he can be. He's not a soft guy. He's a hard guy. He's a goal scorer. He's a playmaker. He's our best defender on the field, right? And so don't want to take that away from him. And I don't think I'd be answering this question had the result not been what it was.
Last question.
Pablo, yo creo que ya has hablado mucho con respecto a lo del arbitraje y ha quedado claro para todos, pero yo quisiera saber un poco también con respecto a Pablo Ruiz, por qué no ha estado disponible o cuál ha sido la situación de por qué no ha estado convocado en estos 2 partidos, si hay alguna molestia o algo.
No, es solamente que había una situación la semana pasada y lo arreglamos, pero para mí el Nelson y el Noel han jugado bastante bien y vemos cómo vamos la semana pasada. O sea, todo está bien y son decisiones que tengo que hacer para el grupo y fue la decisión que hice para este partido.
Question was just regarding Pablo Ruiz's exclusion from the squad the last 2 matches. Pablo said there was a situation last week, they already fixed it, but also looking at Noel and Nelson, that they've been playing well, the squad has been playing well, so those are just the decisions he has to make as a coach.
Thanks, Pablo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Justin, what's your thoughts on the game? How do you want to vent for us?
Yeah, obviously I'm very disappointed. I feel like that's a game that we kind of threw away, definitely a beatable team. And, yeah, we just let it slip away. I won't make any comments on the decisions because I haven't seen the replays or anything like that. But it's a tough stretch we're in right now, and we got to find a way to get some results. I feel like we're playing well for 85 minutes every game, and then we leave with a loss. So there's definitely some work to be done.
Late in the game, looked like they were trying to get the ball, maybe run the ball through you a little bit. Did you like that? Everybody wants to take control and be a part of turning this thing around. But is there too much pressure, or how do you not kind of let that pressure make it more difficult to score?
Yeah, I think we always preach in the difficult moments just to play simple and do what you do. Do the normal stuff. And soccer has highs and lows, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. But if you just do the same thing every time and play simple and connect your passes and just do the right thing, just do every person on the field just does their job, we're gonna create something. So I don't think we really feel that pressure during the game. I mean, obviously we know we need to score, we know we need to get results. But for me, maybe you push a little more, but it's about doing the same thing and banking on believing that what you've been doing the whole time has been right, and then it's just about execution.
Justin, next 3 games for you guys are on the road, tough opponents. What do you guys need to change mentally, physically to be able to get results moving forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a tough one because I feel like I said, I feel like we're right there. Like it's every game we're playing well, we're dominating possession, we're doing all the right things, and then we're just coming up short in the box, and then a mistake or two in the back, and all of a sudden we're down 1-0 and we're pushing to find a goal. So I think it's just going to be about really just being solid in the back and making sure we're at least getting to halftime at zeros, and then finishing in front of goal. Obviously goals change games, so we just gotta put the 2 and 2 together, and the results will come.
Yeah, and then with being able to finish that 20+ shots for you guys, only 1 for Toronto. What was the talk after the game or at halftime with seeing those stats?
Yeah, like I said, I feel like we're doing everything right from box to box. I felt like we created a lot of chances, and I didn't really feel like they had the one shot, like you said, which is, if they don't score that, you're looking at that game like we've done unreal, holding them to one shot on goal. So it's these 1 moment, 2 moments, and it is frustrating. It's very frustrating for us. So yeah, I don't. All I can say is we need to lock in on those 2 deciding moments a game.
Despite these results, it seems like the team is pretty close, pretty unified, and the defense in particular. Like I've noticed that you guys have really taken a step to kind of be maybe a little more disciplined. You look at a guy like Brian Vera tucking his jersey in now, trying to be the gentleman, and kind of winning and losing as a team. Can you speak to like how unified and close this team is right now?
Yeah, absolutely. No, the group is as together as we've ever been. You know, Rafa spoke after the game against Nashville last week, and yeah, it's a team sport. It's not just the guys who play on the weekend. It's the guys every day in training who are pushing whoever's starting that week to be better and to perform on the weekend. So we're all connected and in it together, and we have each other's back, and we know, you know, it could be anyone who makes that mistake. It could be anyone who gets that goal. So it's a long year. It's going to take every single person in that locker room, and we all know that.
Hey, Jay, just one. As one of the more veteran players on the team, how do you help your younger teammates who came out tonight and really showed out? No one was hiding. Everyone was making those runs and going into tight spaces. How do you help to keep them on doing that, knowing that you're not getting the results right now, but if you keep doing that, you're bound to have success?
Yeah, it's just preaching consistency. You know, they show up every day, those young guys, and do what's asked of them in training. They hold themselves to a high standard throughout the week. So yeah, we're gonna need each and every one of them, and they're gonna get their opportunities to be the difference maker. And I'm sure one of them will be a difference maker for us very soon here. So.
Anyone else for Justen? Awesome, thanks guys.
Cheers. Appreciate you guys.